Second adjourned.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, great, now this isn't working.
Thank you. We are reconvening the council meeting for July 14th, 2014. We will move on to new business. Item 5A, Wheeldon Heights Road closure to non-residential traffic July 19th from 12 to 6 p.m. Infrastructure Committee recommendation.
Well, it was brought up at the Infrastructure Committee recommendation, Infrastructure Committee. It was discussed, and there was a couple of questions one of the councilors wanted to have answered. And so we were waiting to hear back from the individual on that, I think, before there was any definite recommendation made.
And she did actually come back at the last meeting and said that she had attempted to contact everyone on the street, and everyone she talked to had no objections. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Public comment closed. Do I have a motion from the council?
I make a motion that we close the Wheeldon Heights Road to non-residential traffic on July 19th from 12 to 6 p.m.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilor Lawless and seconded by Councilor Ryder to allow the closing of the Wheeldon Heights Road on July 19th from 12 to 6 p.m. Any council discussion? Councilor Shakespeare?
Yeah, it was, I believe I know I was one of the ones that was concerned about to make sure that every resident on that street had been notified, because I can't imagine the town approving something like that unless everybody says it's okay, because you just can't shut a road down, and if one person doesn't want it, that would be quite inconsiderate, and wouldn't be, I don't think, basically our authority to do that, not legally, but just justifiably. So anyways, I'm glad she either contacted everybody or did try to contact everybody, and I hope they all have a great time.
Thank you. Any other council discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 5B, emergency street signs, use of grant funds, recommendation of infrastructure and finance committees. Councilor Ryder?
Yeah, it was brought up at the infrastructure meeting to use the money remaining from the safety enhancement grant, $235, to have signs put on top of some street signs, given the street numbers, which way they go to the right, which way the numbers would be, and which way to the left for safety vehicles, so they would know when they come to those intersections which way to go for the numbers of the houses. So it was approved by the Infrastructure Committee to be sent to the council for approval.
And it was also approved by the Finance Committee. Is there any member of the public who wishes to comment on this item? Public comment closed. What is the pleasure of the council? Any motions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the use of grant funds for the emergency street signs. That's it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Many seconds.
It has been moved by Councilor Shakespeare and seconded by many that we install the emergency street signs with use of grant money. All those, any council discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 5C, Littlefield Avenue paving and reclamation award to Wellman Paving and use of Streets and Roads Reserve Fund. Recommendation of Infrastructure and Finance Committees. Counselor Ryder.
Another issue discussed at the Infrastructure Committee meeting, Herman was doing some paving over by the White House Motel on that road. They were having some work done at the White House Motel. Part of that area belongs to Hampden. We had some drainage issues in there. Waldman Paving gave us a price to reclaim that hot top and redo that for a price of $8,991.50. And it was a recommendation by the Infrastructure Committee to take the money out of Streets and Roads Reserve Funds to pay for it and to send it to council for approval.
And that was already also approved by the Finance Committee last week. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Public comment closed. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we move forward with Littlefield Avenue paving and award the contract to Ullman's Paving. And the funds coming out of Road and Street Reserve Fund.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Counselor Soroy and seconded by Counselor Shakespeare to use Streets and Roads Reserve Funds and award the contract to Wellman Paving for the repair of Littlefield Avenue paving and to the amount of $8,991.50. Any council discussion?
So obviously that job has not been done yet? I thought it was done, no.
That is under the amount of authorization of $10,000, so,
It has been done?
Yes.
Yeah, but we're just proving it. Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
We're just approving, sorry, we're just moving that the money comes from Streets and Roads Reserve Funds. Any other council discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next item, 5D, Local Road Assistance Program, 2014-15, Funds Acceptance. Recommendation of Finance Committee. I'll let Sue give background on this.
annually, the town receives some funding from the state. It used to be the Urban Rural Initiative Program. It's now called the Local Road Assistance Program. They've redone their formula. We're getting less, but the amount that the town would receive for the coming year would be $64,916. The town has to certify that it will use it for either debt service on road reconstruction projects or new projects themselves. The recommendation of finance was to accept these monies for the coming year.
Thank you, Sue. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Public comment closed. Do I have a motion from the council?
Make a motion that we accept the funds for 2014, 2015 from the Local Road Assistance Program.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilor Soroy, seconded by Councilor Ryder, that we accept the money from the Local Road Assistance Program. Is there any council discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next item is 5E. Executive session pursuant to 1 MRS 4056E, discussion of legal rights and responsibilities related to potential litigation regarding a land use issue. Sue, could you give some background on this?
I received a letter regarding a property issue here in town, referred it to the town attorney, who made a recommendation that this be discussed in executive session, received a subsequent, or had a subsequent discussion with the property owner involved who expressed concerns, did not want it discussed in executive session. The town attorney prepared a written discussion of this. As I said in what I provided to the council, the item, in order to be considered as an executive session item, if the council chose to do so, has to be on the agenda in this fashion. The council has the option of doing it in executive session or not. That's a decision you can make, but it being listed this way allows you that decision. The town attorney's here to explain his recommendation, and then you can decide how you want to. If you want to do this in executive session or in open session.
Okay, I will let Tom Russell.
Well, the letter did request that the town take certain action. The letter was directed to the town manager. Of course, she doesn't have the authority to take the action requested, so she consulted with me, and we thought we would bring it to the town council, and that it did qualify as a discussion about the legal rights and responsibilities of the town council and the town. Also, the letter made a reference that she thought that she should save the town the cost of litigation, so I took that as sort of an implied threat of litigation, so there's another exception for that. But it's entirely up to the council whether they want to do an executive session. That's not my decision, so that's the reason for it. So it's up to the council to decide.
Thank you. Any member of the public who wishes to comment, and this is only whether or not you feel that this should go to executive session. It's not proper at this time to discuss the matter at hand, only whether or not you think it should go to executive session. Yes. You can discuss at this time until we decide whether or not it goes to executive session. You can discuss to us if you think it should or should not, but not actually the matter at hand. We can't go into details until the council decides whether or not it goes to executive session.
So a formal question should be up there? About this?
Yes.
Lisa Carter, Hampden. I'm not sure if this is the question that is for this or not, but it was an understanding that the executive session would be called without the landowner. Is that what's up for discussion here or not?
I do believe that that is what's up for discussion, is whether an executive session with the council only.
Without the landowner?
Right.
Then I would object to that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, public comment closed. Do I have a motion from the council? Whether or not this.
I'd like to make a motion that the council go into an executive session subject to MRSA 1 MRS 4056E for the purpose of discussing, having a legal discussion with our town attorney.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
It has been moved by Councilor Brand and seconded by Councilor Shakespeare that we go into executive session discussing the legal rights and responsibilities related to potential litigation regarding land use. For council discussion, I have a comment. I personally don't feel that this should go to executive session. I think that it needs to be aired in the public. I've read the information. I'm not convinced that this matter is out of the public. Keeping this matter out of the public record is the thing to do. If we do not go into executive session and it reaches the point where we feel that we need to discuss it in executive session, at that time we could entertain a motion to then go into executive session. Any other councilor comments?
I'd like to ask Attorney Russell, why is it that matters of potential litigation go into executive session? What's being protected?
I guess my basic view is that when you're talking about the town being involved in litigation, we don't want to discuss the merits or demerits or strategy in a fishbowl. I mean, the other side, if they have an attorney, they're not going to invite us to their meeting, and that's my only concern. I mean, if you want to my opinion, which, I've given 2 memos on it, so that's certainly in the public domain. I mean, I don't have a problem discussing that. But if we're going to start talking about what legally the town can do and what their defenses would be if there's litigation, I'm uncomfortable doing that in a public setting.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
I've read this over a few times, and I haven't seen in here where there's any litigation coming before us. From what I understand on this is our attorney has put together the reasoning, his thoughts behind this, and I have no problem at all in doing it in open session. I think that if it gets to where there's a lawsuit that's going to pend against us, then we definitely need to go into executive session.
Thank you. Any other councilor comments? We have a motion by
Can-
Councilor...
excuse
I'm
me.
sorry, Councilor Shakespeare.
Yeah, I disagree with Councilor McPike, because I definitely read between the lines what I consider to be a threat of possible litigation if we didn't comply with certain demands. And one of them was a letter, or I guess it was an email, that was sent to FubDub, Ivan, Gregory, and Carol Dupree, but not to Tom Brand, myself, or Councilor Lawless here, telling certain things. And when you talk about transparency, those same individuals wanted transparency, wanted this all in the open, wanted nothing behind closed doors, nothing under the cover of darkness. But yet, I didn't get one of these. Yeah, I don't have a town email address, but I do have a post office box and a phone number. Same with the other 2 of us, and I believe you have an email address. And Council Lawless didn't. So anyways, bottom line is I just feel that this needs to be discussed legally, like the attorney said, because we're not going to be invited to any litigation or their attorney discussion with them, I don't believe. So I'm going to be supporting the executive session, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Shakespeare. Any other council comments?
Yeah, I guess I've got to say that whether I receive an email from someone or not, it's something that comes on my email. And that email that I got, you have in your packet. So it's out before any talk or anything's been done whatsoever. You're as fully informed of that as I am.
Any other councilor comments? Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Brand, seconded by Councilor Shakespeare, that we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRS 4056E to discuss legal rights and responsibilities related to potential litigation regarding land use. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion fails. At this time, we will not be discussing this matter in executive session. So we will discuss it in open session. So, is that Attorney Russell?
I received a letter on June 20th from a property owner who had a development back in the early 2000s of their land, and who had a number of questions regarding procedures used when that development was done. And a particular concern was whether or not the town appropriately recorded a definition of subdivision in the registry that was more strict than state statute. And that barring that actions taken related to their land would not have been legal. And the town attorney responded to those questions with his legal opinion on whether the town was required to file a definition with the Registry of Deeds or not, and that even if the town did or didn't, that subdivision was one ordinance that may or may not have applied, but that the overarching issue on the development was related to frontage, which is not a subdivision issue, but a zoning ordinance issue. And that the opportunities available to the property owners at the time they applied, with the limited frontage they had required by the zoning ordinance, was either a group development, which would have allowed multiple buildings on one lot, or a cluster rural subdivision, which allows for reduced frontage, but is a term defined in the zoning ordinance. And to further, I won't say complicate, but call into question, the parties are related. And so the question has been raised as to whether the town's actions should have been taken because the parties are, it would have been gifting of land from parents to children, and that under the state's definition of subdivision, that doesn't create a subdivision for that purpose. And the question becomes whether, even if that is accurate, if that subdivision is not what happens, if you're going to have 4 lots, the requirement in zoning, not subdivision, zoning, is 200 feet of frontage per lot. And whether the lot is created, even if you don't call it a subdivision, if you're creating lots, that they require that kind of frontage. And so Attorney Russell has done a couple of memos on this. The question, and the property owner's here, and certainly she can speak to her own concerns. I'm trying to give you an outline of how we got to where we are. But I believe it's the property owner's belief that the not doing the filing of a definition of subdivision negates, or should undo, negates the need for what permitting what the town required on its property. Mrs. Philbrick, is that, if you, I'm just trying to explain where I think we are, and that's.
Cindy Philbrick, Western Avenue. No.
Okay.
As we talked in your office that day when David was there, I thought that we had agreed that without the filing, because of the restrictive measures with the minor subdivision, that we were forced to go down that road. And when I brought that up to you about the filing, I believe, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, that you said if the filing wasn't done, then everything goes away. Your road is a private road, it's grandfathered, the lines, those ridiculous lines, are gone. The open space, my backyard, that the town took, is now mine. The zoning, as far as family subdivision, it's very clear with the state statute, and you all have it now, I sent it to you. It's very clear. I can put 20 houses down that road if I want to, and zoning has nothing to do with it. There's a huge difference between a minor subdivision, which I was forced to get a minor subdivision because I went to the town planner at that time told me, you are not going to get a building permit. This is the road you're going down. This is what happened to us. We didn't have a choice, even though state statute said we did. This town wouldn't let us do it. And alls I want is this to be reversed. I don't want a litigation. I don't want to have to hire an attorney. Alls I want is someone to make a motion, and I want it in writing. This property is mine. I want my backyard back. I'm going to have to resurvey because of those ridiculous lines. You've all seen them. Doesn't make sense whatsoever. I've already got my private road. So as far as I'm concerned, the zoning has nothing to do with it. I have talked with land use attorneys about this. I've talked to people in forestry that are very well versed in this. Everybody seems to be clear, except for this town.
I'd like to see those opinions. I think it's clear in the opposite direction. There is nothing in the subdivision statute that exempts a lot, no matter how created, from the zoning ordinance.
The family subdivision does.
No, it does not. It
Yes,
does
it
not.
does. Well,
The
that-
statute says nothing in this subdivision statute shall encumber or prohibit a town for otherwise enacting land use ordinances. So it's right in there. It expressly says that the subdivision statute does not apply to zoning ordinances or other types of land use ordinances.
What's that? No, he didn't file it. Nobody in the town filed
We
it.
didn't
already
need to
know that.
file it.
Yes, you did.
No.
Yeah, because the
It was
ordinances,
not it was
even
not
in the
more
even
expansive.
with the minor subdivision, that they're way overreaching than what the state statute. That's your opinion.
It's right
I
in
don't.
the
I really
statute.
would hate to go down the road, Mr.
right-
Russell,
it's right in the
to find out
statute.
what the judge rules.
I'm willing to take that chance
Well,
because
you're
it's
going to
clear.
be. You won't be representing the town.
Excuse me, I think we're now talking about litigation. Yeah, excuse me, I think we're now talking about litigation.
I hope not. I hope the town makes the right decision and does the right thing by just taking a simple vote and giving me back my property and taking the ball and chain off from everybody else who wants to do it. I mean, there's so many people in this town that have property that would love to be able to do this, but they've been told, no, they can't. Yeah, it's a gift. You can gift to your family members, your blood relatives. It specifies in that state statute.
But
I'm
doesn't
sorry
it-
you can't see it.
Oh, I see that part, but it doesn't exempt it from zoning.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
I'd like to see the attorney's opinion on that one, because he's ignoring the subdivision statute.
What's that?
Is there any other public comment on this issue? No other public comment? As I see it, I don't, I'll let counselors ask questions first. I don't know that at this time if anybody wants to make a motion to do anything. I mean, this is more of a discussion. Is there any counselor comments or questions? Is there a motion that any counselor wants to make? Did anybody have questions for either the landowner or Sue or Attorney Russell? No? Yes, Denise?
I just want to ask a procedural question. The item on the agenda was whether to go into executive session. There's been no public notice as to what this item actually is. It hasn't appeared on an agenda. So I just want to make sure that if there was anybody out there that wanted to comment, they don't know what this item is about.
Agreed. So, put this on open agenda. This will be on the agenda for the next council meeting as to what exactly it pertains to allow public comments, and again, at that meeting, if we feel that it rises to the level where we need to go to executive session, we have the right to do that. And now we move on to committee reports.
No.
Services and Communications Committee, Counselor Lawless.
Well, we were supposed to meet tonight, but we didn't. But there was a mail from Jeremy Williams, who has been chairing an effort to revitalize the Paper Mill Road Park. And there's a parking lot, new parking lot that's got a lot of cars parked there. There are dog walkers, kayakers, people picnicking. We've got a porta potty there chained to a tree. I'm not sure why. Maybe it wasn't stable. I don't think anyone was going to steal it. Is tipping porta potties a sport? But in any
Yes.
case, it is?
Oh, it is.
Okay, well, it's chained to a tree now, so not to worry. There's a monarch butterfly park, which is well-populated with butterflies, and he'd like to make an offer to the people at Dorothy and Dick's Park to establish a butterfly park there if they're interested, because he knows all about it. So,
Thank you, Counselor Lawless. Infrastructure Committee, Counselor Ryder.
Well, a lot of the items we talked about were on the agenda tonight. A couple of other things was an update on Western Avenue, the continuation of the sidewalk from Western Avenue to the Mayo Road. The project's going to be put out to bid in 2015 for the construction of it in 2015 through the state. One of the other discussions we had was the flooring in the municipal building. We discussed a couple of different options, and we're looking for bids for how we're going to repair the floor. That was pretty much it.
Thank you, Counselor Ryder. Planning and Development Committee, Counselor Soroy. Counselor McPike.
June 18th, Planning and Development Committee, the waterfront park naming and opening came up. The development director asked if anyone had a name for it. It was, committee asked the director to take it to the Historical Society for suggestions, and perhaps talk to McLaughlin's and Hamlin to see if they were interested in participating in some sort of a semi-formal event for the park. It is, for those who don't know, it is now done completely, I believe, and hot-topped and everything down there, and I was down the other day. It has been done very nice, very good job they did on it. And I haven't talked to Dean since then to find out where we stand on this. I assume that, I think next week we meet. Wednesday of this week we meet, so it'll probably be on the agenda. We also asked Development Director to talk to the City of Bangor about their snow dump beside this new park that we just built, and what plans were for the future of that down the road, and the fact that all of that kind of destroys our whole waterfront down there. And his report back was that they were very acceptable to anything open to communications, and that whatever we could do down the road to bring them in, and nothing was done, but they were very willing to cooperate with anything if something came along. Bangor Gas, Development Director reported that a number of property owners, commercial industry, and the, quote, the triangle, which is 95 Colebrook Road and 202, continued as to where gas is coming in, when it's coming in, et cetera. And then there was a discussion on open space that went on for a considerable amount of time, and I don't think there was anything that came out of that other than the fact that the council did sit down and did a lot of discussing about it. The development director was very pleased with what, and we did have a very open discussion with everything there, and I think that was a good thing. For, against, good, bad, or whatever, at least it's getting out and it's being discussed. A number of things came up, but nothing was done permanently. And that's it.
Thank you, Counselor McPike. And Finance and Administration, we discussed most of the items tonight through 1A sidewalk, Elm Street East culvert, emergency signs, Littlefield Avenue paving, local road assistance program. We also had Article 7, financial procedures reviewed, and found no issues with that.
None were itemized. The town attorney had not returned his review of that section. We're still waiting for that.
So that should be discussed at the next Finance Committee. Managers report.
Maine Power Options fuel and diesel bids will be released on Wednesday, this Wednesday. That's approximately a month later than usual. They put them off because futures and some of the fuel pricings over the past month have been very volatile. They waited till it calmed down a little bit before they put them out. Hopefully we'll get at least as good a bid as we did last year. Fiscal year end went smoothly on June 30th. The computer system made the transition well, and the staff, as always, did a really good job getting everything all done. As noted by Councilor McPike, Turtlehead Park is now complete and includes both the trails and the parking lot and landscaping. I would encourage everyone to go down and take a look, but be careful. There's poison ivy in the adjacent. We are having it treated, but there is a lot. It's a big year for it. It's also all over Meadow Road, or the sides of Meadow Road at this point, but Turtlehead Park is open for people. The town of Hampden was featured on Channel 7 on June 27th. And aired on their 6 p.m. broadcast from the Hampden Municipal Building. The farmers market was in operation, and the mayor was interviewed for the broadcast and discussed ongoing projects being done by the town, and it was great to have some positive press for the community. After a month of downtime, I am happy to report that our local cable channel is up and running again for the transmission of council and planning board and school board meetings. The fix included a new amplifier installation and then some fine-tuning work by Justin Foster, our NESCOM student who operates the town cable TV recording system. The manager of the BAT system was on vacation last week. I called their office for an update on where the Saturday bus service issue was with them. If they received 5 or more written comments, they had to hold a public meeting at their facility. No one there who was not on vacation was aware of any of that, and I have not heard back from them yet. At the earliest, at this point, the council could deal with it, so it would be the 1st of August. So we're still waiting. Zero sort recycling, the program has gotten off to a good start. Staff has fielded a lot of questions about how it works. We'll be inviting Jim Dunning from Casella to an upcoming meeting for an update and an opportunity for questions. The only issue thus far has been that people are used to parking by the recycling area and strolling back and forth between that area and the trash compactors. And they're being asked to use one line and the other and not stay parked in that area. This will take some adjustment, but it's necessary to keep the lines moving. The Route 1A sidewalk is done. Anyone who noted the Route 1A sewer project work that was done from the intersection of Western Avenue and by Irving down to the bottom of Waterworks Hill, they did a beautiful job, and even the remnants of Hurricane Arthur and all the rain we got did not undo any of it. We're very pleased about that. 30-day notices for unpaid 13-14 property tax will be going out on the 17th of this month. Liens for any that remain unpaid after 30 days will be placed on August 18th. And finally, our town clerk, Denise Hodgson, is in the process of sending out notifications to all voters whose voting district changed due to the redistricting. So everyone who is impacted by a district change will be receiving a letter from the town clerk.
Thank you. So, councilor comments. We will start with Councilor Shakespeare.
2 comments. First of all, I want to thank Councilor Brand. One of the previous meetings, we had some citizens up here who were talking about the bus and their need for the Saturday bus. And both of them worked, and I believe it was mother and daughter, and they were in the Bangor Daily News. And they were expressing how difficult it was for them to get back and forth, and the fact that they made this meeting, but they would have to take a taxi cab drive to get back home, call a taxi cab. So if some of you remember, right after they left, Tom Brand went outside, and Tom Brand graciously took $20, I believe, out of his pocket and paid for their taxi cab ride home. So I want to thank Tom Brand for doing that.
And I'm sure he didn't want you to say a thing.
No, he did not.
You're in trouble now.
That's all right. The second thing is about the historic map, which the town council turned down and refused my generous offer. That map is being framed at this moment, and it is costing $900. And I guarantee with donations and out of my own wallet that this town will not pay a red cent for that map. But I believe, and I've already got a promise, that it will be displayed in the town of Hampden so the citizens can enjoy it, as my initial intent was for all to enjoy. So the story on that. Thank you.
Counselor Lawless?
Guess what I'm going to talk about?
Zero sort?
Zero sort, yeah. I took my first big trip to Zero Sort. As soon as it got approved, I got a big bin and started saving up. So my husband had to stand on the back of the pickup truck and lift this really heavy thing and dump everything in. But we figured out that the amount of garbage that we're taking to the compactor is about halved with Zero Sort recycling. So we're doing pretty good. We really like it. I'm a promoter. I have like 300 brochures that I've been trying to give out, but everybody seems to already know about it. So I'm going to add them to the collection at the front desk. So if you're confused by it, and I know I was confused because I thought styrofoam should go, but it can't. I thought those bottle caps that are metal and plastic, like glued together, probably should, because both metal can and plastic can, but they can't. So I think it takes a little bit of getting used to. But it's definitely worth the effort because we're going to be recycling a lot more material.
Thank you. Counselor Brand?
Nothing this evening.
Counselor Ryder?
I just wanted to say that I was very happy with Buck Construction for the job they did on 1A. I thought it was an excellent job. It seemed to go good through the whole project. I was very impressed. The other thing is I'd like to mention that the members of the Hampden Garden Club, I want to thank them for doing a beautiful job up to the pool and out front here. I think those flower gardens they do look very, very nice, and I want to thank them for that.
Thank you. Counselor McPike?
Yeah, I'd like to second Councilor Lawless's Zero Sort. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great step forward for the town, and I've had conversations with the town manager in perhaps some way that I've always found that the easier you can make things for people, the better you can sell it. And so I think she's putting together some items, but we talked about clear bags being given. If you throw one away and give us your dump sticker number, then perhaps we'll give you a bag. Perhaps we can have some sort of boxes a certain size that we can either sell or give you so that you don't end up with 300 pounds of trash. You won't end up with 20 that you can pull out and throw away. So hopefully we'll get back in future meetings here with some ideas to make that program that much better. It's a good cost-saving effort, and I'm strongly behind it, and hopefully we can do some better with it.
Counselor Soroy?
Nothing.
Thank you. And the only comment I have is I wanted to explain, I didn't have any comments, but about the map, I did ask for my donation back, and I would like to explain why. And the reason is I gave that donation because I thought the map was a good thing for the town. But when 3 counselors walked out of a meeting that we had planned on putting that map on the agenda for, I felt that they didn't see it as important. So that is why I asked for my donation back for that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Adjourned.